Then there's Invisible War, which is about sort of this somewhat lesser-known idea of the lesser-known prevalence of rape in the military.
Yeah.
Female soldiers, the stats, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like 25% of female soldiers are raped by the time they get out of the military.
Or sexually assaulted.
Sexually assaulted, yes. It's not always, rape is a very specific term.
Right.
Let's be clear about it. This film just floored me. It ruined my day. just knowing that this exists. I've never cried during a documentary. I cried during this film. I was literally watching a scene and I just sobbed. Just had no idea that was about to happen and just sobbed. The really most horrifying part about this film for me was, it's one thing, this woman gets raped and then she goes to her superior officer and says, "Hey, I got raped. What can we do about it?" And he basically, then the abuse is like just beginning. She gets raped and now the abuse starts, because the things that, they're told, they're sometimes charged with crimes because they were raped. They're sometimes, further abused. No one believes them. It just goes on and on and on. And that was the most shocking part for me. But it talks to like 20 or 30 different women and one man who were all assaulted, some of them to varying degrees. The part where I literally sobbed was it goes through a section of the film where all of these women are describing either their planned suicides or their suicide attempts.
Yeah.
And this woman reads her suicide note that she wrote and was planning on sending. And literally the next day, while she was like, "I'm going to go kill myself later on today," she found out she was pregnant. That was literally the only thing where she just decided, okay, I'm not going to kill myself now. That's the only reason she didn't kill herself. And I just started sobbing. I mean, I'm feeling now like I could just start crying thinking about this. These women are just totally destroyed, and it just wrecked me.
Yeah, but the thing though at the same time is that these women are also, they have the courage to sort of come out, address sort of what happened to them in a manner to hopefully help themselves and other women and other men even sort of make this issue known. And so that's really what the movie's about. The movie really throws out a lot of statistics to the point where, like, I can't remember a lot of them, but I was definitely sort of motivated and moved by them. And it's sort of amazing on sort of the plight of these women, because it's not sort of just saying like, okay, this is what happened in the past. It's also sort of showing what's happening to them now. And a lot of that has to do with sort of the lack of legislation to help these people that are sexually assaulted in the military. Basically showcasing that there really isn't a court system that is in their favor.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times...
Or that's just.
Right.
It's like the guy who raped them often gets to choose who is in charge of the investigation,
Well, documentaries are supposed to kind of shine some sort of light on the real world and hopefully help fix problems in the world.
Yeah.
And this one is so timely, not only because it's happening currently, but with the idea that we're going to have female grunts now out in combat. It's an issue that needs to be dealt with, and this film has brought that issue to more attention than it ever has had.
It did have a tag at the end that said Leon Panetta, who at the time is he Secretary of Defense, or he was
CIA.
CIA.
Is he going to be Secretary of Defense? I thought he was nominated for defense. No,
Did not know that.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyways, it said Leon Panetta has sort of made a decree that the person, military commanders no longer get to choose who the person in charge of the investigation is. And I hope they follow through. I hope, they said he watched the film. They said he has the ear of the president. He can get things done. I hope that he just didn't do that one thing and then that's it. I hope that he comes back to this in a year and says, did that work?
Yeah.
Did that help? Let's see what the next thing we can do is. But, I hope the filmmakers, sort of stick with this for a little while and don't just move on to the next project. I really hope they focus on this problem for a little bit.
Yeah, and then there's a little bit of sort of lightheartedness in the movie too, with I can't even remember the woman's name, but basically the woman that is like doing all the sort of promotional, sort
Yeah.
of like don't walk by yourself at night, like these really strange videos
Yeah.
that they're showing these people, and it's just like that's so weird. In sort of the times we live in, it's like you honestly shouldn't have to tell people like, hey, don't go rape people.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, don't go like assault people. But they have to. And it's just like this woman seems completely, I don't know if it's by design or if it's just sort of her like ineptness at what she's
Yeah.
doing. But it's just sort of like poking fun at this woman who is in a position or was in a position, I guess, to sort of like shake her finger at people
Yeah.
and be like, don't do that.
Well, I interviewed the director of Atomic States of America and earlier this year, and that film had a lot of
and that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
talking heads
Yeah.
as well from government officials. And I asked him, like, how did you get them to talk to you? And he's like, that's their job. It's their job to talk to the public. They had to talk to me. So
Well, it's almost like the
you have a
same-
lot of respect for the people who at least will sit down and
Yeah.
get in front of a camera and say, this is what's happening and
Well,
this
and
is what's going on.
It's almost in the same vein as like the Daily Show, like how they
Yeah.
like they get this like really high official, and then they basically ask them these like sort of insane questions, and they just have to answer them honestly, and it makes them just come off as like fools, despite you know, them obviously not wanting to be portrayed that way. But it's just sort of like that, and then sort of there's the one woman in the film where her main sort of role is she's trying to get a disability
Yeah.
for something
that happened
to her.
during her rape.
And so there's a little bit of lightheartedness on that too, because it's just sort of like her incredible frustration
Yeah.
of just like I really have to jump through all these hoops, and so you're really sympathetic with her. So yeah, I would recommend it to a lot of people that
Yeah.
maybe just not aware of that as an issue. So
Yeah. A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.